Hey everybody, today we are talking about some big physical goals I've set this year, and for the sole purpose of being a better example in general. And this video is going to be a video for anyone who wants to, one, better themselves, and two, just be an example to the people around you. Maybe that's your family, maybe that's your team, maybe that's your community, whatever the case may be. For me, a big mission that I've always been very inspired by is the mission of feeling very, very accountable to inspiring others. I know that I have been blessed to be healthy and have a lot of energy, and I want to be able to do things that other people can be inspired by to push other people to just get the most out of their life. And so today we're talking about the big goals that I've set up for this year. To start this off, I nailed one right at the beginning of the year, right in January. The goals for this year were: one, do a marathon; two, in a full marathon, so the 26.2 miles. Then do an Ironman. Third, do an ultra. So that's anything over marathon distance. And it ended up, we went all the way. We went to a 100-mile ultra. That's the goal. That's the target. That's going to be on December 14th of this year. And the Ironman is going to be just a few weeks from me shooting this. It's going to be October 27th. Depending on how soon this goes out, it could be really, really close to the time I will be doing that. Now, what I didn't expect to happen was to have a wrench get thrown in the plans. And I didn't expect to break my pelvis at the beginning of the year. So I finished that the marathon at the very beginning of the year. And then probably 2 weeks later, I broke my pelvis in a motorcycle accident. I was doing a big jump on the dirt bike and something just went wrong. I went over the bars and must have drove my knee or whatever into the ground, because it drove my femur through the socket of my pelvis and blew that socket apart. And so I learned a whole new thing about your acetabular and bones and that part of your body. Even though I've known so much about broken bones because of racing motocross before, this was kind of a new area to me. That was the little piece that was kind of thrown in there, that I saw this as a huge, huge opportunity. These were already big goals. They were already something that I was very uncomfortable with. The marathon was the only thing that I was comfortable with. I've hated swimming my entire life, and so I knew that getting in a pool every day and training was going to be just a utter thing that I had a very, very hard time even getting over the thought of I was going to do it. And so I wanted to continue along that philosophy of doing uncomfortable things. That's what makes you grow, is doing those uncomfortable things. And then, so if you do these things, right, it can set your mind in that habit of training for this all the time. I live in an uncomfortable world. Therefore, I go and produce better results in the other areas. And all of this is really setting these metrics for me to point towards, which are ultimately going to help my health, because I want to live as long as possible for my kids. I want to be able to chase my kids down and rough them up and give them a hard time and play with them and play football or do whatever for as long as humanly possible. And I see being as fit as possible as the opportunity to do that, the opportunity to have the energy, the opportunity to keep up with them, the opportunity to never have to say no, because I am focusing on staying healthy and being energetic. These health targets were a lot for that in the beginning, and they still are for that. I want to stay as healthy and as fit as possible. Back in the past, I fell away from training and running and things like that because I didn't set something to pull me forward. I didn't set this event that I was training for. And if you're just training to look good, it's a very, very shallow reason. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you want to train to be fit and be proud of how you look, that's awesome. But it's not deep enough for me to want to consistently do over and over and over again and continue putting out and get the results. So setting these metrics, setting these goals is something, because I like to compete. These targets ultimately pull my health forward. They pull me in the direction I'm wanting to go and get better at for the event, while making sure, okay, I'm doing something to stay fit. I'm lifting, I'm running, I'm swimming, something. And so this might be Tough Mudders or obstacle course stuff. This might be long distance running, Ironman, cycling. It could be high rocks. It could be CrossFit, any sport or anything. This used to be motocross for me, and still I would not mind riding. And I haven't rode it all this year because I've been so focused on training, and I'm just now getting my bike fixed since I hurt myself. But that used to be the thing. That used to be the thing that pulled me into the training, why I got up every day and trained, why I always stayed on top of it, why I knew I wanted to be healthy, because I wanted to be able to put maximum output. And it feeds into every other area of my life. It's not just the kids. It's not just the competition. The more fit I am, the more my mind is clear, and the more I'm able to attack my business and be aggressive at that. And that's another area where I want to be a great leader and I want to be a great example. I want to stand up and do everything I can do to be someone that you know that you just got to respect that person, because I give 110%. And sometimes I don't do that perfect, but that is the goal, is to give 110% and be an example. That helps me be a leader worth following. Now, finally, though, with this whole hiccup that happened in this year, where I said I kind of saw that as an opportunity, and to give a little more context to that, and this is where, the big tragedies in your life, the big challenges, the big problems that happen, you can use those as an opportunity. And that's exactly what I'm doing this year with my pelvis. These were 3 events that, if you're going to run a 26.2 mile race and you're going to do an Ironman that's 140 total miles of distance and change, and you're going to do a 100-mile foot race that is going to last 20 plus hours, that alone is big targets in the year. And I'm not special at all for doing that, because tons and tons and tons of people do these of all freaking ages. I believe the oldest person that's completed an Ironman somewhere between 87 and 90 something years old. And I mean, obviously you have to be pretty fast to do it, because there's cutoffs, but there is back to the point. The fitter you stay, the more you are able to do stuff for a long, long amount of time. And I also have a lot that I want to prove to myself, and prove that you can stay fit and keep pushing for a long, long time anyway, besides all this. But so I saw this huge problem, this challenge, as an opportunity to show my family, for my kids, that their dad is somebody that would stop at nothing to do the things that he believes in, to help a person, to complete a task, to do what is required. He would stop at nothing. So I had these events, and then I saw this as an opportunity to, let alone do all this, but recover from a surgery where I had a massive injury and I was going to need months to recover. And so it fueled me even more in this direction of, I got to do this thing. I've got to complete this thing. I've got to go in this direction to be that bigger example. We all get an opportunity, business and family and community and everything, to be an example to others. We can be a good example, or we can be a bad example. There's a lot of bad in the world. So I think now is a time more than ever for all of us to look and strive towards a level of personal excellence, so we can be a great example in a good way to our families, to the communities around us, to the people we work with, to the people we employ, to everyone, so they can be a positive effect on this world. So these are my targets that I've had for this year, with my little wrench thrown into the mix of this, to acquire better health and to be a bigger example and better example for everyone around me. I'd like to hear in the comments below, what are some targets you've got for this year? Fitness-wise, business-wise, whatever. Something that you're going to have to push to, that's going to be challenging, that is potentially going to help you be a better example, or lead someone well, or really just be positive, be a positive force in the world. And then throw into the comments, what has been the biggest resistance? What's been the biggest problem to overcome that you may be able to use to fuel this to even better results?